Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And Jubilee is going on. We did Normal Battle 1 already. It's time to do Normal Battle 2. This fight is this is probably the hardest fight of the Normal Battle series, mainly because Water has just not had a lot of good, solid help recently. Like, we had Protector of Peace. That was the last thing. That was August. And it was a meta that most people skipped because it was a very gimmicky, stupid meta. And then you've got Tyr, and you've got New Year's Shinsha. Oh, and you've got Festive Memories Maribel, who's a support ult. So, I mean, like, yeah, you're getting damage out of that, sure. So Water is in a horrible spot right now. Options are limited. So, you make do with what you got. So, disclaimer number one, your results are most definitely going to vary on this stage. It is going to be rough for you. So, do your best. Use what you got. This video is a guide. I'm sorry in advance. Disclaimer number two is that these are the characters I use for protection gauge. These are what I use for skill points. And disclaimer number three is don't forget to go into your town and optimize your water building. Because looking at this, the starting hand is, I believe, green orbs. Yeah. 2 blues, 4 greens, so you can definitely use a character like Isis to get around that. But these salamanders, they don't have a lot of HP, and you do 1, 2, and 3. So 3 waves, 1 salamander each, nuking on turn 3. Good luck getting 5 million damage in 3 turns without like the proper team build. But let's jump in. Alright, the max score team I stole from D2, who stole it from a JP player, so I don't know who he stole it from, so I can't give him credit. But we've got Frey, Protector, who does not get used very often anymore. Divine General Diablo, because he's good. Soe, because we're going to need his defense skill. Fern, for her massive power. And then we're going to nuke with Fantasy Milim, who is now, like, mine, because she's 120, she's EX Unbound. Not a lot of people are going to have that. She does have a skill fusion available, but mine is not skill fused, so I tried to kind of offset that. But if she was skill fused, she'd do more damage, and that's just it. And then we've got Divine General Hero for the Rewind and the Pierce power. And she can actually output the damage, which I didn't think she could do, firstly. So opening up turn 1, this is why you need Soe, because the first Salamander gives itself an attack buff, and so we need to get around that. So turn 1, we're going to use the green buff from Veldora, bring Milim in, and we actually have 36 points because we have Soe starting out, and his trait kicks in. So we have enough to use both the defense skill and 1 orb change for Milim, and this gets us 5 greens, which gets us some good gauge, and then with attack lower, as long as he hits Milim, we're fine, because she's going to take 1 damage. So now we're going to rewind with the hero. That'll alt rush us a little bit. We'll bring Diablo in and use the green buff again. And now we don't need the defense skill anymore, because we're going to kill everything before they can hit us now. We're only going to take the 1 hit. So sending these 6 greens will get us the EX alt. If you're having trouble, you can run like the green alt gauge charm or the alt rush charm, and that can help you out. I think I'm running the alt rush charm right now to get Milim to the EX. So now we have points, so we can use the Diablo buff, boom. And then we can take Milim out, and then we can use Frey to give us a full hand of greens, and that also gives us 40 more points, which puts us at 100, so now we can use the Pierce buff with the hero. So now we've got 2 90-point buffs stockpiled, and with those 2 we can easily kill the Salamander before it can do anything. And then we're moving on to turn 3. We have 118 points, another Frey, which means we have another 40 points. So we can use the Fern EX alt damage and alt resistance down, and then we can use the Milim buff, which technically, when we use Frey right here, she would give us another 40 points, and we could use like some other skill, and we could have used that prior to, and Milim could have had a little bit more crit damage, but unnecessary, because she does 6.7 right there. Now, if she's not 120 and EX Unbound, your damage is going to drop. But remember, mine is not skill fused, so if you do skill fuse yours, you get extra crit damage. Like, your base starting amount is higher, and the amount you get per skill used is higher. So you could actually probably equal out. somewhere around there. But we took 1 hit, so 0 damage. We did over 5 million. We did it in 3 turns. That's my max score team right there. You could use some other combination of big time buffers, like a physical buff. I don't know if that'll get you that, but you can certainly work on it. Kind of different options, but you kind of need at least Diablo. You might be able to substitute the masked hero with like the old masked hero, but then you lose the pierce power, and it's debatable. But you can try and see what works for you with this team. All right, the next team is just overpowering with a water character. It doesn't have to be rain. It could be pretty much any magic water. So like you could put Shinsha there. You could put Aqua there if you have her from the Konosuba collab. But we're going to use the Frieren collab. And then Kyokyo is here. If you don't have him, if you have VOC Violet, you could bring her. You know, Rain herself has a magic buff. So, and you're killing in 3 turns or 4 turns. And like you could use her buff as well. It won't be as powerful as Kyokyo's, but whatever works. But we do have Raphael here, mainly because the weakness resistance down that on his skill will help Rain because we're going type advantage. The stacks of weakness strike don't matter because Rain's not on Adventurer, but everything else is going to work pretty well for her. So this is definitely not a max score team. Rain can do the damage cap, which is great, which is where most of your points come from, but it's not going to be turn 3. So we can use Rain's own green buff and send the 4 greens, and then if you have traits going, you can get access to Himmel turn 1. And we've swapped out Raphael, we've left Rain in the back, so here we can orb steal with Raphael. If you don't have Raph, like you can try and make it work with one of the other triple orb stealers. I don't know how well that would go since you're going to lose out on the protection gauge, but you can still kind of try it. But there's 6 orbs. They're all most of them are oranges. More importantly, we get her EX ult. That's what I really care about. And then because of Fern's trait, we're going to get turn 3 protection gauge, and that'll give us another Himmel. And so now, Rain's ready to go. We've got 200 points, so we could stockpile some stuff right now. So let's stockpile the Kyokyo buff. We can stock up on the Fern synergy power buff, and then send Rain away and hold on to those. So then on turn 4 or turn 5, we can use the other skills. We're going to need at least, 180 to use the other Fern skill and the Frieren skill, but if you want to go a bit further, in case your damage is maybe not that good, you can go to turn 5 and use Raphael's skill, which would give you weakness resistance down and a little bit of an attack buff, a little bit, 70%, but you don't have enough points for that on turn 4, so you would need to go to turn 5. So we're on turn 4 now. We have 250 points. We would have needed, 270? To do that. So I wasn't sure that my Rain was going to be able to do it with just the 2 skills. So we do push to turn 5, which you can do as long as you don't kill the salamander itself, which you could take gear off of all the other characters and maybe keep it alive a little longer. But we do have to kill that salamander because that's only the second one. There's 3 waves. So now we're on to turn 5. Now we're ready to nuke. We have 300 points. So I accidentally used the skills earlier, just because I wanted to make sure that we could kill that salamander with Raphael's ult, because Raphael's not that strong. So we have enough points to use those skills again, right? So now we're fully buffed up. Now we'll send a couple of the orbs and then Rain. 1, 2, 3. And then Rain does 7.6 million. Definitely over the 5 million cap. So I don't know if we really needed that extra skill from Raphael. Maybe we could have nuked turn 4, it would have been fine. I don't know, you could try it yourself. And again, Rain is just, you could put any magic water character in. Any water character. And if it's not water, you wanted to use a physical character, instead of Kyokyo, you would bring like Tempest Lead Benimaru or something. So there are substitutions you can make on this team as well. Next, we're going to move into the kind of sad teams where we're definitely not hitting damage cap, but you got to use what you have available. We've got New Year Shion, and we're going to attempt to nuke with Tyr, but also Water Shinsha is here, and you could use her as well as a physical nuking character. Take your pick. If you're going to nuke with Shinsha and you're going to take tier off because you don't have her or something, bring a different support character. Physical buff like Benimaru or Rimuru or something. Whatever works for you. I'm trying to pick it, whatever water has to go with. But definitely doing this in 5 turns. Definitely not hitting damage cap, but this is kind of a use what you got team. Isis is here because she's got a really strong debuff, but she's magic, not physical. Diablo, because he's a god. Old space hero. Rewind, we're going to need it. And then the crit buff, which we don't actually need because we have Shion giving us crits, so she's only here for the rewind, essentially. Turn 1, again, we're going to use Diablo's green buff to boost those greens, and then we'll bring in Tyr and Shinsha, because we're going to need them. Getting the EX ult here, we don't have a good way to ult rush minus having full hands of oranges, so you do kind of have to get lucky with Tyr orbs, which we get 4 of them here, which is cool. It's not enough to guarantee your EX ult. So we're going to rewind this turn, boom. That will give us extra protection gauge on the orbs, just in general. So we'll send this. We do need to take care to maybe not kill too quickly again, because we're going to need to take some time to stock up buffs here to make Tyr actually do some kind of damage. And it's great that we don't get any orbs for her, because, I love not getting orbs from a nuking character. So, it is what it is. We'll do this. I should have sent the Shinsha orbs in hindsight, because, she has the ult swap, but make a misplay right there. Doesn't really matter. We get all Shinsha orbs, though, so we can still get the EX ult for Tyr. It's just that we're going to have to hold on to the ult. So, sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll send that, because we don't really care. She's not super buffed or anything, but we're still going to kill. And now we're going to move on to the 3rd Salamander. We have the EX ult, we have 200 points, and we need to stockpile some things. So both of Tyr's buffs are going to help her do more damage, and then we need to restock to be able to use the Isis and the... Well, you could take your pick, whether it be the Isis buff and the Shinsha buff, or the Synergy buff and the Isis buff. Like, you could do a number of different combinations. You're not going to have enough points to do everything, though. So you're going to have to take your pick. You have 169. So we're going to use the Synergy buff because it's very powerful. And then I believe we use the Shinsha buff instead. We can't hold onto the Shinsha or Isis buff. I mean, you could hold part of the Shinsha buff, the crit damage, but you can't hold the ult. So here, this is what we're going to run with. We'll use Shion to activate the crit synergy, and then we will nuke, and Tyr does 1.7 million. So, not 5 million, but, if this is what you got, it's what you got, and you need a score, this will get you a score. And the final team I have for you is Wielder of Magic. This team, you would think, would do quite a bit of damage. Milim giving you Pierce and Oranges, Isis and Kyokyo doing their really strong burst buffs, the old hero for the crit and the rewind, Shinsha herself has that EX ult damage, the attack buff, and then we have the element buff from Hinata. You would think that we could do 5 million damage here, especially since we also get the extra damage from the Protector. Not quite the case, and I'm kind of shocked by it. So, you can use it. It's not going to hit your cap, though. So turn 1, we don't have a good converter here. You can bring, like, Isis or something if you want to, but Isis, her green buff nerfs oranges, so if you're going to try and use an orange-focused team, definitely not the greatest pick for you, because you don't want to intentionally nerf all your orbs. But turn 2, we're going to rewind. We're going to use Milim to get that full hand of oranges. We will use the future hand of orange skill from Hinata, so we don't have to worry about the rewind turn. We'll send these orbs, and then you're going to pray that you can get the EX ult with Shinsha on this rewind, which it only takes like 2 oranges, maybe 1 orange, depending. But you do need some orbs, which we get 3, so that's good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every orange you send helps Shinsha do a little bit more from her attack buff, which is nice, so you get 2 guaranteed turns of that. And then we move on to turn 3. We have 120 points. When you use Milim, you get 40, so we have 160. and we're going to have to pick and choose what we want to use here. So we're going to use the EX alt damage plus the attack buff, and then we're going to use Isis and Kyokyo. So we don't actually use the element buff or the crit buff, because we're going to try and nuke on turn 3. If you don't care about turn 3, you could just push to turn 4, turn 5, make more points back, and then maybe store a buff or something on Shinsha, and then nuke and she'll do more damage. But here, we do 1.6 million. So yeah, not capped, but we were also missing quite a few buffs from what our team was had the capability of doing. So if this doesn't, if you don't care about the turn bonus, just go an extra couple of turns, get those other buffs on Shinsha, and she'll nuke a lot harder. But that's all I've got for you for Normal Battle 2. Water's kind of in a poor spot. I thought about using Protector of Peace, and then I realized that no one fucking summoned for that meta, so no one's going to have it. So please forgive me if you do have it. If you do, then, put your team comp down below and let other people know who summoned for that stupid meta. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.